Good morning. My name is Lisa Daisel. I'm from the Unisa Directorate for Counselling and Career Development. We welcome you once again to our virtual platform to a career talk about career and study opportunities in education. You are very welcome. We are very encouraged that you're taking time this morning to invest in your career development. So from my side, I'm not alone. I've got my colleague, Mr. Beki Mzobe, as well as Mrs. Mandu Makanya with us this morning. So they will also play a role in our program. And then, of course, we have our esteemed speakers that will be presenting about different topics. Just some announcements before we start. You are most welcome to ask any questions you have as you are listening to the presentations in the Q&A or in the chat. We will attend to those questions, but there will also be an opportunity for you to ask live questions at the end of each presentation. For now, your video and camera is disabled, but we will enable you when that time comes. We just ask in the chat that you please do not share any personal information, that is your personal email address or telephone numbers, just so that all of us can protect our privacy. We are recording the event, so after the event that you will get an email that the recording is available on MS Teams. We will also be publishing an edited version of this recording on our YouTube channel. We will post the link in the chat during the session. So without further ado, let's take a look at the program quickly. So our speakers today will be focusing on learning more about teaching practice. We'll also hear from Ms. Prudence Mhlangu about studying education at Unisa, specifically looking at postgraduate options. Then we also have a person presenting about English teaching opportunities in Asian countries. And then lastly, we have a speaker from the South African Council for Educators, SACE, who will be sharing more about the process of registering with them. So on that note, I'm going to introduce our first speaker to you. If you'll just give me a moment. Mr. Moleboheng Masangu, a very warm welcome to him. He is currently the Teaching Practice Office Coordinator at the Unisa College of Education. Before 2017, he was a Teaching Practice Admin Officer from 2011 to 2016. He holds a BSc in Mathematics and Statistics, a PGCE Senior Phase and FET, and he specialized in Mathematics and Natural Science, as well as a B.Ed Honours degree in Mathematics. Mr. Masangu, you are very welcome. We are very much looking forward to your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. And then good morning to everyone. Just allow me to project my presentation. Thank you very much once more and good morning. I believe my presentation is visible.
It's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the organizing committee, the Directorate of Counselling and Career Development, and also other representatives, as mentioned, from SACE, and also I believe my colleagues from the college and the Teaching Practice Office, and then to the prospective and current students. It is an honor, and I'm humbled to present on behalf of the Teaching Practice Office, and I will therefore start the presentation with describing what the TPO stands for. The Teaching Practice Office is the office in the College of Education whose mandate is to facilitate and centralize student school placements and allocations of supervisors for student support during the school placement, and to establish interdependency with relevant teaching practice stakeholders for the smooth process of supporting TP students. And the stakeholders are the academics, schools, mentor teachers, supervisors, and students. And one of the roles of the academics is to be available to provide academic support to students and schools, to accommodate students for placements, and mentor teachers to guide students with day-to-day activities in the classroom environment, and supervisors also to provide professional support for the student supervision. And the importance people students is to have contact with all these stakeholders for their full support in the teaching practice journey, and also to ensuring that there are simplified systems to assist students with school placement requests, which is to develop school placement guidelines to assist students with step-by-step procedures of how to request to be placed in the school for the teaching practice. As you can see, the objectives of the office is to ensure that teaching practice students are placed in registered schools within and outside South African borders according to the guidelines of the teaching practice modules. Here we have guidelines of how should the students be placed, and then since we are ordained institution, students are also allowed to do the teaching practice in their respective countries, and to ensure that school placement support materials are in place to clarify the roles and expectations of student teachers during the teaching practice period, and to also to ensure that all students are allocated supervisors for initial teacher training support, as indicated above, that supervisors are one of the key stakeholders of the teaching practice. And in this slide about the teaching practice modules, the Unisa teaching qualification, which is offering the B.Ed education and PGCE postgraduate certificate in education. And then all these programs have teaching practice modules and are compulsory requirements for these qualifications. And B.Ed program has 20 weeks of teaching practice period in the 4-year program, and which is 5 weeks per academic year. And then PGCE consists of 10 weeks period of teaching practice, and which it can also be conducted in 1 or 2 years. It is the student's obligation to have plans in place to comply with the minimum requirements during the teaching practice duration. This means that there are no exceptions for the teaching practice duration. It is compulsory for students to attend teaching practice. In this slide, we are trying to emphasize that when enrolling in these qualifications, students should know upfront that they will be required to reserve 5 weeks each year, which will be dedicated only for the teaching practice and should not be interfered with any other engagements. And then the TP academic related matters, as also presented above, that also academics are the key role players in the teaching practice office. Therefore, when we receive queries related to the academic, we refer them to the primary lecturers for further assistance. And the inquiries that we are talking about them here is about the content of the teaching and learning for the teaching practice modules, submission dates and platforms of the submission of the TP assignments, and which workbooks must be supportive materials for the assignments, and any query related to the allocation of TP marks. So when we receive all these inquiries related to the content and marks and submission of assignment and so forth, we are working closer with the academics, and we refer these matters to them for further assistance. And then the teaching practice student support, since Unisa, as I've mentioned, that is an open distance e-learning, therefore the teaching practice office is providing an opportunity to students to request to be placed in schools according to their preferences as follows. To be placed in schools, as I've mentioned, that every year, students will be required to be placed for 5 consecutive weeks. And then they are given an opportunity to choose those 5 consecutive weeks at any time between the month of February and September. That means in these opportunities for students that according to their schedule that they can request to do, maybe for example in March or June or July, but as long as not beyond September. And students can also choose to be placed in any school closest to them, which is easily accessible. In this case, we are trying to support the students that when they choose schools, they must not struggle with accommodation or transport. So they must make sure that the schools that they are choosing to be placed are easily accessible for them. And during the same period, students are also given an opportunity to request to be placed in blocks. In this matter, we are saying since students are expected to do 5 weeks each year, and then it's 5 consecutive weeks, but we are also saying that they can break these 5 weeks into 2, whereby they can do 3 weeks consecutively, and then again do another 2 weeks consecutive, or vice versa, 2 weeks consecutive, and then 3 weeks consecutive. But also those weeks that they are choosing to be placed, they must also be or in the interval period of February and September. And then also what we want to emphasize is that the teaching practice modules cannot be deferred. There's no supplementary for the teaching practice. A student either passes, fails, or is marked absent. And then if they have failed or absent from the teaching practice, means they will be expected to re-register for the module in the following academic year. Therefore, after all the processes that have been followed correctly, then we are saying the teaching practice career opportunities, which the office plays a crucial role in supporting students for becoming qualified teachers in one of the following fields of the school phases and grades. We are assisting students in teaching practice for foundation phase, whereby you can become a professional teacher for grade R to 3. An example of age group teaching learners ranging from 5 to 9 years. Or you can be a teacher in the intermediate phase, teaching grade 4 to 6. And then also age group, it can be learners ranging from 10 to 12. And then, or you can be a teacher for senior phase FET, teaching grades 7 to 12. And then the group age, it might be 13 to 18 years. So the TP contact details for further information about the teaching practice, if everybody is allowed to visit our website under the College of Education. And then for any clarity, I'm available as a teaching practice coordinator, and then my email as indicated. That is end of my presentation. Thank you very much, Program Director, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masango. I just want to check a reminder, if you have any questions, you're welcome to post those in the chat. You can also click on the raise button in Teams to raise your hand so that I can enable your microphone if you would like to ask a live question. While we're waiting for questions, Mr. Masango, I just want to check with you. Is there anything specifically that students can think about, as they are maybe preparing to register for these teaching practice modules, you know, what is there anything they can do to prepare for the teaching practice, you know, in addition to the academic preparation, but maybe like more on the personal or the even emotional side? You know, how does one prepare to go and do the teaching practice?
Yes, thank you very much for the question. As I've indicated that for supporting students, as I was emphasizing in terms of the period, that for the support that you are giving to students so that they can prepare themselves is to thoroughly check their schedule before registering, because of majority of students sometimes not having enough period to do the practical. They end up doing theoretical modules and leaving the practicals, and it becomes the problem when it's time for graduation, because of they will be expected to complete teaching practice, and on the teaching practice IM modules means cannot be done in semesters. So means if you have missed the teaching practice, then if you register in the following year, you must wait for registration to open in Jan Feb, and then but at the end the result, since it's a year module, the results will be at the end of the year. So we are encouraging students that not to enter in these difficulties or frustrations. It's for them to prepare themselves. As an open distance, you'll know that some of the students they are involved in different engagements. Some they are working, some they are involved in other personal activities. So we encourage students that they must prepare and secure the period so that they can inform everybody up front that during this time I will not be available. My time will be focused in completing the teaching practice, because of if they are not aware of this situation, you find that they have struggles in terms of being placed, because of when they are placed, since they will be practicing to be professional teachers, so they are expected to participate in all school activities. That means they cannot only go to school to do the teaching practice activities only, but to participate in any other moral activities that are taking place. So it means that if the school starts from 8 and close at 2 o'clock or 2:30, therefore the student is expected to be like a full-time teacher, to be at the school from 8 to 2. That means it's not allowed, whereby the students say, can I only go for 1 hour, 2 hours for the teaching practice only? So those are the preparations that students must be aware of when they are registering for the teaching qualification. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masango. I appreciate that you mentioned the very important aspect of, you know, really planning your studies, and that you can't leave your teaching practice modules, you know, after you've done, let's say, the first 4 years of modules, because then you will be stuck in terms of completing your degree in the time that you may have planned for. There was another question that I had, is that I imagine that as students are registering for the specific teaching practice modules, that there would be documents or forms that they could use, that will be provided, that they can use to negotiate the teaching practice at the school. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, correctly. As I said, that there is other open documents that they are available under the website, the college resources, because of other information which will be supporting documents for the student to request to be placed, then they will need to be a registered student first, because of most of the information that we give out to students, they come out in a form of tutorial letters. And then we have a tutorial letter, which is only dedicated to the teaching practice processes. And then all the documents that student will need to get, for example, the principal letter, whereby is explaining to the principal the way Unisa is asking on behalf of the student to be placed. And also we have declaration letters that the student will need to read and declare. And also we have the agreement forms where the students will need to understand what is expected from them, and in hand in hand with the mentors, so that as I've indicated, the one of our key role stakeholders as mentor teachers. The mentor teacher, we are talking about normal full-time teachers that they are permanently employed in schools, since they have experience in terms of what is happening. Then they will need to guide students when they are placed there. Therefore, the mentors will also need to sign agreement forms together with students, so that they will be able to work together during the practical period. And all those documents are in the tutorial letter 102 of all the teaching practice modules, and are available to all students after they've finalized their registration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Masango. A last question from my side is also, I'm just now thinking about the BE degree that has got 4 years or 4 teaching practice modules over the 4 years. Would a student do these teaching practice modules at the same school? Or are they allowed, for example, if they completed the first year at a certain school, to renegotiate at another school for the placement?
Okay, yes. Thank you very much again for the question. Again, as universities do, we will know that it promotes diversity. In an ideal situation, is what the university will like to see happening, whereby the students are getting experiences from different schools. But if situations does not allow, due to other personal circumstances, as I've also indicated, that we're trying to support students that the schools that they are choosing are accessible in terms of their accommodation and transport. But in ideal situation, indeed, is what the college will want to see, whereby students, for example, if they've done the first year of teaching practice in a certain school from a certain background of the school community, then in the second year, maybe go and experience their teaching from other communities of the schools. So that is what in ideal the college would like to see. But due to other circumstances I've indicated, the university is also allowing that students can complete the practical from first to the last module in one school. But as I've indicated, diversity is one of the important factor that the university is promoting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Masango. There's a question from Kilebogile in the chat. Can a student do 2 or 3 teaching practice modules in 1 year?
Yes, that is another issue that is creating a lot of challenges. If I indicated that every year we have a teaching practice, and students need to plan that they must do accordingly, because of teaching second teaching practice module. The prerequisite is the first year teaching practice, like that sequentially. Then the third is going to be 2 and 1, and the last one is going to be 3, 2 and 1 as prerequisites for the fourth module. But due to the systems is what we know that registration and ICT, they are working on it, that of registering the teaching practice concurrently should not happen, because of it compromise the experience that the investor like to offer to the students, because of sometimes we will find that if student has registered more than one teaching practice, since it's a 5 weeks, sometimes they end up doing those 2 or 3 concurrently, because of when they are expected to do 5 weeks, which is 25 school days. Every day they are given activities that they should fill or complete in their workbooks, and then they end up completing, attending maybe, for example, different classes, so that they can complete activities in teaching practice 1 and complete other activities in teaching practice 2 and complete other activities in module 3, and doing those in 5 weeks, which it compromise the experience that the student need to acquire when doing the qualification, because of, as I've mentioned, that they are expected to be there full time. It's not only for completing activities, but it's for getting exposure in terms of all things that they are happening in schools, so that the time when it comes for them to become permanent teachers, they will already have an understanding of what is happening. So, but if they go only for less period, you will find that they will not gain more of what is happening in the schools. That is why, according to the minimum requirements for the teaching practice, they must be the minimum for the completion, which is 4 weeks, which is accumulation of 100 days for the whole qualification for B.Ed. So means if student has completed 100 days in a school doing teaching practice, then we are confident that the student is ready for his or her own to take on to lead a school. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Masango. So we are back again to where we started in terms of the importance of planning your studies and to complete the teaching practice, one after the other, so that you can still complete your degree in the time that you've planned for. I don't see any other hands or questions in the chat. Mr. Masango did share his email address in the presentation. Mr. Masango, if you could also just please post your email address in the chat, so that those who would want to maybe ask further questions could contact you. But from our side, thank you very much for being available this morning. And I've certainly learned a lot more about the role of the teaching practice unit, but also some of the practicalities in terms of doing teaching practice as part of the qualification. Okay, so we are moving on to our next speaker. I just want to check my colleague, Mrs. Makanya, are you able to introduce the speaker?
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Our next speaker is a colleague, Ms. Prudence Mahlangu. And she is a Unisa alumni, and we are proud of that fact. With an honors degree in education, she has worked as a career guidance practitioner under the Directorate for Counselling and Career Development at Unisa, and she currently is a student advisor and a team leader for the College of Education in the College of Graduate Studies. Her passions are reading and being service to others. Her favorite quote is, no act of kindness, no matter how small, is ever wasted. It gives me pleasure to welcome Ms. Prudence Mahlangu to our virtual podium. Over to you, Lisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Makanya. And Prudence, you are welcome.
Thank you so much, Ms. Makanya. Thank you so much, Lisa. And thank you once again for this opportunity. I just want to take this moment to welcome all the Unisa students, and yeah, I hope we will all learn a few things from this presentation. Thank you. So I'll be giving a presentation for admissions and registrations, specifically, as Ms. Lisa mentioned, that it will be for postgraduate qualifications. Okay. So the first step in considering whether you want to further your studies, I feel like this is the first step that a lot of students need to go through. You need to examine the reasons to wanting to further your studies. You need to find your why. The reason I always encourage students to firstly find their why is that this will also assist in determining if you will need to complete a postgraduate diploma or an honors degree. Determining your why will also assist in also determining which speciality or stream you would like to study. As you know, Unisa has 18 honors degrees in education, and it also offers 7 postgraduate diplomas. So I can imagine when you're trying to figure out which qualification you can get into to further your studies, it can be a bit overwhelming seeing so many qualifications. So hence why I say that it's very important to figure out why is it that you want to further your studies. Another reason we are saying that you need to determine your reasons and find your why is that a postgraduate qualification, it's usually for advancement in your career, to open certain doors. Hence why figuring out which one you need to do is very vital. Some students need a postgraduate qualification in order to be able to practice in a particular field or to be regarded as an expert in that field. So hence why it's very important. Another reason is that determining your why, the reason for embarking on your journey, will also help you stay motivated when faced with certain challenges or when things seem a bit hard and bleak. So always having the reason why you're embarking on this journey will always help you. So what are the benefits to furthering your studies? A postgraduate qualification gives you a competitive edge. As we all know, the job market is quite competitive. So having a postgraduate qualification might assist you. It helps emphasize your drive, determination, and willingness to increase your ability in a chosen area. A postgraduate qualification will afford you the opportunity to specialize and become an expert in your field. It will also help strengthen your CV. It will broaden your knowledge and skills. A postgraduate qualification equips you to conduct learning and research independently, especially in cases where you do an honors degree, because there are 2 research papers that you would have to register for and complete. It also enhances problem-solving skills and critical thinking abilities. So it's very beneficial for you to further your studies. As I previously explained, Unisa has two. So we have the honors degrees and postgraduate diplomas. And what we have noticed is that a lot of students seem to not have enough information to determine which they would like to pursue. So now, what are the similarities between the two, right? Both are honors degrees and our postgraduate qualifications are on NQF level 8. They both weigh the same and both have 120 credits. And with the College of Education, in general, the admission requirements are basically the same. Now, what are the differences? With an honors qualification, students are required to register for and complete research modules as part of their curriculum. So it'll be research methodology and a research report. Those are two research modules that a student will need to complete. While in a postgraduate qualification, you do not have to complete any research papers. If there is, in some cases, you'll find that there is a research paper, it'll be an introduction. It will not be as in-depth as it would have been in an honors degree. Another difference is that an honors degree can only be completed in a minimum of 2 years. And the reason is that with research, the academic department has felt that it takes a lot of time. It requires a lot of dedication. So they've split the curriculum in two. Now, with a postgraduate diploma, students are allowed to complete it in a minimum of a year. So those are the main differences and the main similarities, but I want students to always remember that both qualifications are on NQF level 8 and they both have 120 credits. Now, what to consider when deciding between the two qualifications? You obviously have to consider the requirements, but in this case, in general, the requirements are the same. Now, another deciding factor is whether you would want to pursue your master's degree. Since in a postgraduate qualification, there are no research modules, right? This means that should you decide to pursue a master's degree, you will be required to register for and complete research modules first. So this is how it would happen. You would complete your postgraduate qualification. Then you would apply for a master's degree. Then in the master's section, what they will then say to you, they will advise you that you do meet admission requirements, yes. However, you do not have 2 research papers. Please register for those 2 research papers. Then once you've completed them and you've passed them with an average of 60%, then you will you may come back. So you bring the letter to the postgraduate and honors section and you instruct them that you have been given permission to register for and complete the 2 research papers. We register you the modules, you complete them, then only the following year, provided that you've passed the 2 research modules and also that you have an average of 60%, then you will be eligible for a master's degree. So completing a postgraduate diploma does not stop you from then furthering your studies to applying for and completing a master's degree and your doctorate. So I think that it's very important that students bear that in mind, that your option is not only an honors degree. Okay. Now, the admission requirements. To qualify for a postgraduate diploma or an honors degree in education, you are required to have completed a 4-year professional teaching degree or an appropriate bachelor's degree and a recognized professional teaching qualification. That will be your PGCE, or a 4-year professional teaching qualification, as well as an advanced diploma, right? So UNISA does also have advanced diplomas that are related that are in the space of education. This will mostly be done by students who previously completed a diploma in teaching, then completed an ACE. So that ACE qualification has been replaced by an advanced diploma in education. Now, students need to also have 60% average. It's very important that you always bear in mind of the average required, because with regards to education, because it's so strict, they are also very strict about the average. But luckily with education students is that we do not only look for your third level or the fourth level. We actually calculate the average from your first year. So that's an added advantage in my opinion. Now, another thing that students should also be aware of is that if you wish to apply for a mathematics stream, like a BEd honors in education and maths is your stream, you need to ensure that you have completed pure mathematics modules in your qualification. So, for example, if you have done a BEd degree, you must have completed mathematics related modules, and they must be pure mathematics. The code will be MAT, I think it's calculus, algebra, so those modules. If you're not sure if you have or currently are completing mathematics related modules, I will say that you will need to visit the College of Education and have a conversation with one of the advisors regarding your curriculum, just to have clarity. Now, with students who have completed a degree plus PGCE, we may look for the pure mathematics modules either in your degree or your PGCE qualifications. So once again, if you're not certain if you have done any pure mathematics related modules, I would say that have a conversation with an advisor at UNISA and have a breakdown of your curriculum just for clarity. Okay. So students who are not certain if they meet the admission requirements, the best way is for you to apply for admission and have your application assessed by the applications department. This is because there are certain things that they would look for to determine if you do meet the admission requirements. Even in an event that you have calculated your average and you feel like, or you have seen that it's not the average of 60%, I will still encourage you to please apply and have your application assessed by the professionals. Another important factor is that you need to ensure that you provide us with all the required documents. So if you're a UNISA student, your academic record will not be required, but other documents might be required. Right? So also bear in mind that only full applications will be processed. What does this mean? This means that you need to ensure that all the required documents have been uploaded. When documents are missing, that is regarded as an incomplete application, and unfortunately, you will be declined. Now, what are the required documents? It will be a certified copy of your ID, a certified copy of your matric certificate. If you are a student who has completed their degree outside of UNISA, please provide us with your full academic record, Please ensure that the academic record is clear and that we can read what is written on the academic record, and proof of completed degree. And if you completed your degree outside of Unisa, please ensure that you also provide us with a SAQA certificate. I always encourage students who have also previously applied at Unisa to still provide us documents. This is because of often documents get misplaced, or the system can lose your documents. So I always encourage you, whenever you apply, please ensure that the documents are uploaded. So important notes. Final year students should also apply as long as they will be complete with their undergraduate qualification by the start of the academic year. So for example, let's say you are currently in your 4th level and you know that you will be writing your last exams during the October-November exam period. Now, we know that in 2025, you would have completed your qualification. Still apply while awaiting your results. The system will ask you as you apply if you have completed your qualification or if you're currently completing it. Obviously, you will click on currently completing it, and that will then inform us that you are currently completing your degree, but then you will be done by 2025 academic year. Returning students must know that correspondence will only be via My Life email account. So students just need to claim their My Life request and also request for a new password. In some cases, you can be contacted in your private emails, but we really do discourage students from doing things and from using their private emails, and this is due to the POPI Act. Okay, I think majority of you are currently Unisa students, so the application fee, you guys do not need to pay it unless if you're a new student, and also the MOOC is only for new students. So if you are currently a Unisa student, you will not be required to complete a MOOC. But a MOOC is very important because, especially for new students, because that it gives them an idea of how an ODAL is. And so for any application queries, I have provided a link. The link has FAQs that are very, very important to all students, current students, new students, and previous students. I feel like it's very important. It will just give you an understanding of the application process and how to go about it. It will even detail you a step-by-step on how to apply. There's also a registration FAQs. This is also quite important because it has information on your curriculum rules, which are very important, and I'll always encourage students to please go through their curriculum rules. This is to ensure that when you register, your registrations just go through without any issues. Another important factor is the student rules and policies. So I always encourage students to please go through them as they're very important for all students. And for queries related to postgraduate and honors qualifications, you may email us at eduons@unisa.ac.za. For undergrad or PGCE related queries, I will include that. You just have to email educare. So I just want to wish you guys the best of luck when applying, and also best of luck with regards to your examinations and your teaching practices. Good luck, guys. And thank you so much. And that was my presentation. Thank you, Lita.
Thank you very much, Prudence. There was just a question about how to get a hold of the advisors within the department, but you now shared the contact details, and I've also posted them in the chat. So
Okay.
those of you in the call, you're welcome to raise your hands if you would like to ask your question live, or then alternatively just post your question in the chat. Or in the Q&A, so that we could ask Prudence to attend to it. Prudence, there was just one question that I wanted to ask. If you could just reiterate about the duration of the degrees. So you mentioned in your presentation that for the honours degree, it's 2 years, and for the postgraduate diploma, it's 1 year. So I just want to check whether for the honours degree, is it possible to complete it in 1 year, or is the minimum duration 2 years?
That's a very good question, Lisa, because we get it often. The academic department did make a decision that it will be in the student's best interest to complete the honours degree in 2 years. And the deciding factor was the research methodology as well as the research report. So they have decided that there are cases where a student can ask to complete it in a year. You would need to write to the academic department and ask for permission that to say that you would like to just complete the honours degree in just 1 year. Whether that will be successful will depend on a case by case. I think they look at your academic record and possibly the reasons why you want to complete it in under 1 year, because previously it was under 1 year. But we do still encourage students to please, if you're doing an honours degree, please complete it in 1 year. Do the research methodology with the other modules in your curriculum in the first year. And for the second year, we would say that concentrate only on the research report, as it requires so much time and has a lot of work. So we do encourage that. With the postgrad diplomas, the reason why you can complete it in a year is due to the fact that there aren't research papers. And even if there is like a research paper there, it'll be an introduction. So it'll almost be an introduction to research methodology. So it doesn't require as much time from the student. And another thing is for the students who would then want to pursue their masters. So they would complete the postgrad under a year. Then the following year, they will have to reserve it for the research. So I always encourage students from what we have seen so far to complete the honours degree in a minimum of a year. I mean, in a minimum of 2 years, just so that you'll be able to give yourself more time when it comes to your research paper. Yeah.
Thank you, Prudence. There's also a question on the chat from David. If I'm doing honours at another university this year, I need to apply for masters at Unisa next year. Do I have to wait and apply next year, or should I apply this year?
I would say that apply this year. As long as you would have completed your honours degree in 2024. So, David, like I mentioned, in your case, the application portal will ask you if you're currently completing your honours degree or if you have completed it, right? You just have to click that you are currently completing it, and where it requires your information, you just have to write that 2024 as the year that you'll be completing your degree. So we always encourage students apply this year for the following academic year.
Thank you, Prudence. I was also just thinking about another question we get quite often, is that if you've now applied for the honours degree, but you receive feedback that your application has not been successful, I know that there is an appeal process. If you could just talk to us a bit more about that process.
Unfortunately, this is very bad news. Unfortunately, for the College of Education, appeals are not accepted. This is due to the reason that, especially with our honors degree, it's very popular. It's very popular, and it can only take a certain number of students per year. So what I always encourage students to do is to apply for an honors degree in education, and at the same time, as your second option, just for in case, you also apply for a postgraduate qualification in education. It's we're hoping that in the coming years that they will start accepting appeals, because we do get a lot of appeals. We do get students writing in, and when you read their motivations, you wish like you could just tell the academic department to give them space, but unfortunately we can't, and unfortunately they do not accept it. So just to be safe, I would say that students should apply for an honors degree at the same time as a postgraduate qualification. And the students must also be aware that appeals are not accepted just for College of Education, but other colleges, they do accept them. It is just the College of Education only.
Thank you, Prudence. So you really highlighted that the spaces or admission to the honors degrees are quite competitive. I imagine that what will really benefit you is if you focus on your undergraduate studies and try to achieve the highest mark possible, but then also, as you mentioned, as your second option, to really critically look at what if I don't get accepted to the honors degree.
Yes, that is something that you would need to look for, and also make a plan should it happen. We always, the saying says, hope for the best and plan for the worst. So I'm also a believer in that. Just plan should you get a decline reason, how can you then proceed with your studies?
Thank you very much, Prudence. I don't see any hands or more questions in the chat. So from our side, thank you very much for making the time to be here this afternoon or morning and sharing all of this information. But please also, for those who would want to make further follow-up, feel free to contact the postgraduate section at the email address provided. Oh, I do see a question now. Prudence, if you could maybe just take a look at the question that Winnie posted in the chat. So they did a B.Ed and foundation phase, want to upgrade to senior and FET. Only I have few modules in electrical engineering, having been done at DUT. Can I do the PGC in senior and FET and specialize in the subjects completed at DUT?
Okay.
I'm not sure if you would be able to respond. It sounds more like an undergraduate.
Undergrad, yeah. It is a bit of an undergraduate qualification. But I could be wrong. I will try and find out more information regarding this. But it's my understanding that it is not allowed because you're already a teacher. You already have a teaching qualification. So I will try and find out the information and revert.
Okay, I would suggest just for Winnie, you are welcome. I am going to share our email address at counselling at the end of the session. So please, I think it would be best if you send us an email explaining your situation so that we can then refer it to the colleagues who work with the applications for the College of Education at undergrad level. Lesego is asking about clarity on the postgraduate certificate in education, how it works, what's considered to be teaching module, Prudence, again, in that case, but the PGCE, just to clarify, for those on the call, is actually linked to the undergraduate qualifications. So Prudence, I think in that case, we will then also ask the Lesego to send us an email if there are specific questions she has about the PGCE, so that we can then engage with her. Okay, so thank you very much, Prudence. We are going to move on to the next session. Mrs. Makanya, if you could please introduce our next speaker to us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I will be introducing our next speaker. She is one of our alumni that we are so proud of. She's an alumni, and she was born in Umlazi in Durban, KZN. She published a TikTok video which attracted over 1 million viewers. In a typical TikTok style, Ms. Dlamini used a hilarious sound to share her achievements as a Unisa graduate and landing a teaching job in South Korea. Teaching is a passion, and she says that it runs in a family. And she was inspired by her mother, who is also a Unisa graduate and a teacher and a Unisa graduate. In 2020, our speaker, ladies and gentlemen, relocated to Vietnam to teach English as a second language. She is now based in South Korea, still teaching English as a second language. She uses her social media influence to educate, inform, and empower South African youth. She actively shares information about teaching English abroad through her social media channels. She dreams of leading a professional registered consultation agency where she can offer services to help others. Several people have also landed teaching jobs in South Korea through her interventions. She would like to see this initiative growing and reaching more graduates. As a faithful steward of the university's mission to serve humanity, she is a proud Unisa alumni, raising the university's flag higher and higher in Asia. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me pleasure to welcome Gabi, as she fondly known in Umlazi and KZN, to our virtual podium. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Mrs. Makanya. Gabi, you are welcome.
Just to check if everyone can hear me, can someone just signal on the chat box if you all can hear me? Thank you.
We can hear you.
Perfect. Sanmonani, hello. Annyeonghaseyo, Sinloy. Thank you so much for this lovely opportunity to address this gathering on this significant occasion. My name is Sinqobile Gabisile Dlamini, but I've created a name for myself on TikTok where people know me as Gabi February. Most people ask, where does this February come from? Are you really from KZN? Are you from Mlazi? Are you from Olundi? How come are you February? It's only because I was born in February. So I hail from Ulundi, Emahlabathini, esigodini sasezihlalo. Although my journey took me to Umlazi section, where my parents sought better opportunities for our family. So I began my educational journey at Goku Primary School in Isipingo, where I laid the foundation for my future. I then attended Umlazi Comtech under the visionary leadership of Mr. W.L. Lutuli, where I obtained my matric and then embarked on the path to adulthood. I am so honored to share my thoughts and reflections with you today. So after matric, I pursued a career path that did not ignite my passion. Completing maritime industry courses and graduating, even landing an internship at a prominent logistics company. However, my heart remained in education. I vividly remember enrolling in the University of South Africa while I was at work. I legit used the company's resources to go through the website, enroll myself. I even printed out all the necessary documents to support my application while I was at work because education is something I'm passionate about and I wanted to see myself as a teacher one day. It's just that I never dreamed it will get me this far. So 4 years later, I proudly obtained my bachelor's degree in education. I will emphasize the my because education is a personal achievement that no one can take away from you. I did face some challenges along the way, navigating both venue-based examinations and moving on to online examinations due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite those obstacles, I persevered and emerged stronger. My biggest motivation was my mom, who's also a Unisa alumni. At the age of 42, she graduated with a Bachelor of Education degree. I'm not sure who copied who, because I remember speaking about doing teaching in my life. So she was working at Toyota for over 10 years, and then suddenly we had a graduate mom in the family. So I told myself, if she can do it in her 40s, what would stop me in my early 20s? I went back to school. I did my 4 years, and I have turned my passion into a career. So after graduation, I took a leap of faith and left everything that I knew behind, relocating to a foreign country to start my journey as an ESL teacher. To be honest, my first country, which was Vietnam, was never really part of the plan, but due to China's restrictions at that time, it became the easiest option. Hence, I found myself teaching English in Vietnam. Although I didn't spend an entire year in Vietnam, but I learned valuable lessons and gained experience in the ESL industry. It was straight after graduation when I relocated to Vietnam. I had no experience besides the teaching practice that we do along the way within the 4 years of our degree. So I then relocated to South Korea, where I'm currently on my second year. This is where I met with a lot of South Africans and have been mentoring a lot of graduates in South Africa. I'm proud to say I've created a South African industry or community within South Korea because there's honestly a lot of graduates that can tell you or testify that we are here because of that one TikTok that made million views on TikTok. And then they tried to get in touch with me. I assisted them with the process, and we are all now making a living here in South Korea. So if given the chance again, would I pack my bags and leave? Absolutely, yes. Teaching English in South Korea has been a life-changing experience and offering numerous benefits, including a competitive salary and benefits. We get free accommodation, fully furnished. Our flight costs are reimbursed, meaning when you fly to Korea, yes, you have to purchase your ticket to get here. Most schools want you to do that because they've had cases where they would book flights for candidates and they would cancel last minute because what if I get human trafficked? What if this is a scam? So some candidates would cancel last minute. So they decided we will not be sponsoring flight tickets from South Africa, but once you are here, you will get your money back. So that's also a benefit because you don't lose anything. There's financial freedom, allowing for savings and travel, an opportunity to immerse in a unique culture and learn a new language. There's a supportive work environment and professional development. There's many chances to make a real difference in the students' lives. For example, when you start working with the students, some of them cannot even recognize sight words. But as time goes on, you can honestly see the work you have done. They can now read, they can now present, and that is all the effort that you put. You have access to modern facilities and resources, and there is a growing expert community and social network. This is honestly a gateway to exploring Asia and beyond. So it's not just about working, but also you get to explore and be exposed to the diversity in Asia. Now that I have shared my journey, I'm sure you are eager to know the requirements to teach English abroad. So let's dive right in. So to teach English here, you need to have a bachelor's degree in any field. I know people here are mostly from the College of Education, but next time, let's invite everyone from the university because you don't just need a degree in education. As long as you have a degree, you qualify to teach English. I think that's the best thing about it. Number two, you need a TEFL certificate. This is a certificate that you can do online. It's a teaching English as a foreign language certificate. You can even complete it in 1 day, 2 days. If you are lazy, 1 week, 1 month, but it's very simple and straightforward. A TEFL is a professional certificate that equips you with the skills and knowledge to teach English as a foreign language. Remember, you are not teaching kids in South Africa. You are teaching kids from another continent, not even country, from another continent. They have never been exposed to English. Some cannot even introduce themselves in English, so your duty is to teach them conversational English. Let them be able to recognize colors, teach them shapes, the alphabets. It's nothing hectic. For those people who say, so how can someone who didn't do a degree in education teach? If you have your degree, if you did your degree in English, obviously you know the alphabets from A to Z. I'm no longer saying Z now. I remember when I first got here, I was like A, B, C, and I got to Z. I was like Z. I remembered. I'm not from here. I'm from South Africa. So we say Z. Third thing that you need is a clean criminal record. Please make sure you take care of yourself. Do not be a bully out there. If people try to bully you, just walk away. You don't want to have a criminal record under your name. So 3 things: a bachelor's degree in any field, a TEFL certificate, and also a clean criminal record. Once you have these documents, you are still not ready to apply. There is a process that you need to go through. Number 1, you take your bachelor's degree to the South African Qualifications Authority, SAQA. You will need to verify your degree through SAQA. This process involves obtaining a certificate of evaluation from SAQA, which confirms the authenticity of the equivalence of your degree. So they just want to confirm that your degree is authentic, your degree is valid, it is real. You really went to the university for 4 years. You did not go to some dodgy colleges. You indeed studied and qualified and completed your degree. So be sure to factor in the time and cost of SAQA verification when planning your journey to teach English abroad. Currently, SAQA verification costs $647. It is paid directly to SAQA. You do not pay it to anyone else. Number 2, the police clearance certificate. I understand that us, as qualified teachers, when we apply for our SACE license, we can go to Upswitch, we can go to all these other private companies that provide a record of your criminal record. But when it comes to employment abroad, they do not accept police clearance from other companies. You have to go to SAPS and do it. It has to be a legit certificate from the South African police. I know a lot of people always say, but it takes 3 months or it never comes back. When it comes back, it has already expired. There is a way to bypass that. You don't have to, you can go to your nearest police station to just get the fingerprints. Fill in the form and ask for it. Do not leave it at your police station. Then send it via a courier company. I trust Postnet because I always advise people to use Postnet because I use Postnet too. So you can send your form and fingerprints straight to the head office, CRC in Pretoria, the Criminal Record Center. It will take less than a month. Even 3 weeks is a lot. So you go to the nearest police station, you get your fingerprints done, you pay there. I think it's 170 now, your fingerprints. And then go to your courier company, send it straight to Pretoria. It will be back within 2 to 3 weeks. Then you can proceed with the application. Now that you have, I hope everyone is still following and taking notes. That's just 3 things that I needed. Now that you have your SAQA verification letter and your police clearance certificate from SAPS, you take both these documents, and if you can get to Pretoria, well, this depends on how badly you want this. Some people from Durban can go to Pretoria to walk in, get the forms legalized immediately at DECO. DECO is the international relations. Go there, get them done the same day, and then start applying for jobs. But if you think you can't get to Pretoria to walk in and get it done same day, then you are most welcome to use a courier company and send the documents to the international relations, but it will take time to come back. I remember at the beginning of the year and the past 2 years, due to COVID, we would wait 6 to 8 weeks for international relations to bring back our documents. But now they have opened walk-ins, meaning you can just go there with your documents, get them back stamped and signed the same day, which I think is a good thing. If you really want to leave South Africa as soon as possible, I'd advise you to just go to DECO, get it stamped the same day, and then we can move on to the application process. So the DARECO authentication is a crucial step in the process since it verifies the legitimacy of your documents for international use. So SAQA was just verifying your documents to see that your qualification is authentic. But now the Department of International Relations is for ensuring that your documents are legit to be used overseas. So you can never bypass that process. You have to go through it. Once you are done with that process, you are ready to apply for jobs. Just to highlight the three things again, have your bachelor's degree, your TOEFL certificate, and your police clearance certificate. Verify your degree through SAQA, and then take your verification letter from SAQA together with your police clearance certificate from SAPS. Both of them must go to the Department of International Relations. Once they get back from that department, we are all ready to apply for jobs. So most people will ask, so now, when do I do my visa? Once you get the job offer, that is when you apply for your visa. Your school has to apply for a visa issuance number that enables you to go to the embassy of South Korea in Pretoria and apply for your visa. The only health check that you need to do, please note, all of this happens after your documents are back from international relations. All of this happens once you have interviewed with schools and received a job offer and signed your contract and sent it back to your school. Now you are stuck with your school. They will apply for a visa issuance number. You can't get a visa in Pretoria without your school giving you a number. This number is more like a reference for you to apply for the visa in South Africa. So where do health checks come in? Once you have the visa number from your school in South Korea, it's time to go check your health. The only thing you have to check in South Africa is TB. You need to be taking care of yourselves. At this point, you should be making sure that you are taking care of yourself and you are 100% healthy, because no chronic illnesses are allowed or accepted. So you do a TB test, it must come clean, and then you will attach that to your visa application. You go to the Korean embassy, wait 3 to 5 days, and your visa will be ready. That is when you can start applying for flights, and then you can fly to South Korea. So that is the whole process of teaching English abroad. I do assist people with the process. So those of you who are here and who are not following me already, I'm Gabby February, Gabi February on TikTok. That is where I share the journey of being here. That's where you can actually get a glimpse of the life that we live here. And just for people who kind of feel like, is this real? How are they living? If you're just curious about what is happening abroad, go to my TikTok, Gabi February. Everything is there. Everything is there. If you'll have any questions, I'll check the chat box. Thank you so much for the lovely opportunity. I am ready to address any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gabby. There is a question in the chat about the TEFL certificate. If you could just take a look at that.
Okay, the TEFL certificate, how do we apply for it? How long is the course duration? With the TEFL, can you teach online while you're in South Africa, or do you need to be full-time or part-time? Thank you for your question to Kelebogile. Thank you for your question. The TEFL, there's many websites where you can complete it. We have Teacher Record, which is a free website. I'll just type in here, teacher. Oh, it's typing in Korean. Okay. Teacher Record. That's where you can complete the free TEFL. I also have it. I also have a TEFL certificate from TEFL Universal. The free one is Teacher Record. TEFL Universal is around 229. For South Korea, it's just good to have the TEFL. It doesn't have to go through any process, so it doesn't matter whether you have the one from the free website or the other ones where you pay for them, because some countries feel like the free ones are not worth it. But trust me, I went to Vietnam with the free one and I'm here with the free one. But if you were to look at China, they kind of don't like the free ones anymore. Yes, you can teach online while you're still in South Africa. But personally, I have never taught online, and I'm not sure how easy or simple it is to get into the online teaching. Oh, yeah. I hope that answered your question.
Gabby.
We have Tabiso who asked, is this only for teaching English? I'm not sure that to say fortunately or unfortunately, but yes, in Asian countries, the community or the citizens want to learn English. Most of the people here have zero English. So they just want to learn English so that they can be able to go to international universities, so that they can go abroad as well. Just like how I am here now, they want to go to other countries and further their studies. So they need to reach a certain level of English. So that is why we got this opportunity to be able to come here and teach them English. So to answer your question, yes, we are only teaching English. I'm having a degree and a PGCE. As long as you have a bachelor's degree, you do qualify. It has to be a bachelor's degree in any field. And you will use the degree to apply. You don't have to verify your PGCE. You just need to verify the degree, because that's the requirement at immigration in order for you to get your visa. So they want to see that bachelor's degree there. Yes, you will teach English. If they can accept any degree holder to teach, then you have science, you have physics, you can definitely teach English. And it's just conversational English, the basics. You're welcome, Tabiso. Okay, the certificate that you do is 120 hours. But as I said, if you can dedicate one day, you decide that today I am not going anywhere, I'm staying at home, I'm doing this, you can complete it. With Teacher Record, they have 13 modules, and then you have to do 13 tests. It's just a quiz. So 13 tests, after that you are done. So it's up to you whether you want to take it one module a day or you just want to complete the course. So it's honestly according to your work ethic.
But something that you do need to check is that the course says that it's 150 hours.
Yes, that's the name, not that you have to allocate 120 hours. Yes.
Okay, and then teacher record, did you post it now in the chat? Can you just remind us that the free course?
Okay, free course is the teacher record. That's what
And
I
then
always assist people with as well. And then there's the other one where you pay 230 rands. It is TEFL Universal. Okay. I have worked with very old women and men, probably around the age of 50. So I can say the retirement age has to be around 60. I'm not quite sure, but I have worked with very old people and we still have old people teaching here. So the South African retirement age is okay. As long as you are medically fit, you are healthy, you don't have any chronic illnesses, you qualify when you interview, then you can definitely work here. Okay, there's websites. Okay, number one, we have a Facebook page, a South Africans Facebook page, is South Africans living in South Korea or South Africans teaching in South Korea. Both of those groups work. So anything that you can type in the search engine, you will get information because these groups have been there for years. There's nothing that has not been asked on these groups. Number two, we have a website, Dave's ESL. I will put it here. I'll just write the names and links here. Dave's ESL. That is where you can find job posts here in South Korea. There's a government program called EPIC that you can apply through. I work for private schools, not the government program, but I do recommend people to check it out as well. EPIC government program. So you apply through it. People have landed already for this year. This was the last intake for the government program. So those who want to come and work through public schools for the South Korean government, they will be coming through April, so they can start applications this year. What I work for is called Hagwins, which are private schools. Hagwins private schools. You can search that and they will pop up. Private schools, South Korea. There's also COVIA, which is also a government program, more like EPIC. Also on my page on TikTok, I have pinned videos with all this information. So the people who are here, who are not yet following me, can follow on TikTok, go through the pinned videos for the information and just to stay updated with everything. Okay. Police clearance certificate is 170 or 180. They always go up. So 180 or 170 for the police clearance certificate from SAPS. To verify your degree through SAQA, it is 647 rands. The next step, which is the Department of International Relations, is free. Hence, I encourage people to go to DECO themselves or courier the documents straight to DECO. Do not use an agent, because I see quotations from agencies that, like, there's people in South Africa, for example, as Gabby February right now, if I were to say, I help with sorting your documents, you have to pay 1,000 for SAQA, you have to pay 2,000 for DECO. DECO is free. Go there, get your stamps, and you are ready. But if you want to use a certain agency in South Africa, they will honestly charge you an arm and a leg. They are not paying Deco anything. They are just charging you because you lack information. Lacking information will cost you money these days. It will cost you money. So 170 or 180 for the PCC, Police Clearance Certificate, 647 for SAQA. Deco is free. The next thing you will pay for is when you have a job. You are paying to go check your chest if you have TB or not. I think I paid 550 2 years back. And then applying for your visa, which is around 1,200. All these costs I've mentioned are below 5,000 rands, I'm sure. The last thing you pay for is your flight. Your flight to South Korea, and that money comes back. That is where we have to check your contract. When are they paying it back? Are they paying it back with your first salary? Are they paying it back at the end of your contract? I always encourage the people I assist to ensure that they are paying back the money with the first salary, so that if you had borrowed money from somewhere, you can pay it back. If you had taken a loan for it, you can pay it back. So those are the costs. We do not get to 65,000, and there is no money that you need to show at the airport that, I have 30,000 rands. You are not showing any money. You are here to work. You are not here as a tourist. I hope that answered your question, Tabish. Because South Korea is the safest country. I do not want to lie. The safety in this country remains unmatched. For example, I'll come back to the human trafficking. For example, if I can go to the supermarket right now and drop my phone, I can go back tomorrow to pick it up where I left it. If it's no longer there, it's already on the website, lost and found website, where I can go and pick it up at the nearest police station. In South Korea, when you make orders online and then take it out, comes and deliver. Here in South Korea, you can be gone for the whole month and your parcels will be delivered by the door. You can find them at the door a month later. That is how safe the country is. From the moment I leave my house, the CCTV can see me. Wherever I go, in the taxis, the Ubers, they can locate you from Johannesburg to Cape Town. That is how safe this country is. You can wake up at 2 a.m. and decide you want to go and grab ice cream. You can go and chill at a park at 2 a.m. That is how safe this country is. So when it comes back to the Nigerian scams and human trafficking, I've never heard of any news in South Korea where such has happened. But I do understand we always have to take countermeasures to ensure that we are safe, because we do not want to be next. We always verify your offer, check if everything is legit, your school. There's also websites where you can find information about your school. We call it a blacklist. So if you've worked for a school and you didn't have a good time there, maybe the management was not great, there's a website where you can post anonymously, so we can check anytime to see, this school, they do not have this and that. This school mistreated a foreign teacher. There's always things we'll look for and check before you can accept an offer. But when it comes to safety, that's the last thing to worry about when it comes to South Korea. If you can lose even your wallet right now that has your card, your phone and everything, your Korean card has your address, it can be delivered by that doorstep. That is how safe this country is. So I hope that gives you a relief, Tabiso. Please make sure you do connect. I would love to engage with all of you further and just to check up how far are you with the journey. And if there's anyone who's enrolled for their honors, please be in touch, because I also need your help.
Are you looking for study buddies?
Please, I'm seeing flames.
So that therefore brings us to the end of our program. I just want to share some further resources with you. You will note in the chat that I've posted a link to a brochure called Education at Unisa. So please also take time to download the brochure and take a look at the different career and study opportunities, excuse me, related to this field that you can explore. I'm just going to share my screen so that you can see the rest of the resources. There's also the PNET grad pack. So this brochure is available free of charge on the PNET website, and it will help you to explore more information about CV writing, interview tips, preparing for interviews, but also how to create a compelling CV, what employers look for in graduates. So a lot of information that you can also use to prepare for future opportunities. Then there's a book called Grad Next. It's also available free of charge. And the focus is also on topics such as personal branding, also CV writing, interview skills, and networking. So also please feel free to go and download that book so that you can prepare for future opportunities. Then from our side at counselling, I have posted our email address in the chat for some of the questions that we had earlier on. But at any time, you are welcome to contact us via email. You could also schedule an online appointment with a student counsellor, or also connect with a counsellor at any of our Unisa regional offices to make an appointment for counselling in person. Then on our website at unisa.ac.za/counselling, there are a number of resources that you can use for your career, academic, and personal development. And then on our YouTube channel, we post recordings of events such as this one. But it's not just about careers. There are also recordings of workshops about your personal development as well as your academic development. And then just in terms of future career events, we've got a couple left until the second week in September. So please just keep on checking on the My Unisa events calendar for further events. You are also welcome to either send an email to myself or Mrs. Mandu Makanya if you have any suggestions or comments about the career events that you would want to see, since we are planning now for next year. So that is it from my side. I'm now going to invite my colleague, Mr. Becky Mzobe, just to end off the session for us. Thank you, Becky.
Thank you, Lisa. Good afternoon, everyone. As we come to the end of this enlightening Career Talk event focused on career and study opportunities related to education, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to our guest speakers for their valuable contribution. Their insights have greatly enriched the event. Starting with our first speaker, Mr. Lebogang Masango, the College of Education, who focused on the process of preparing for teaching practice. Mr. Masango helped us to understand the mandate and objectives of the Teaching Practice Office. He further helped us to understand the whole process of teaching practice and how Unisa supports students in the process. I think now we are fully aware of the role of the office. Thank you, Mr. Masango, for the introduction. Our second speaker, Prudence, spoke about studying education at Unisa, focusing on postgraduate studies. She guided us through the process, like questions you need to ask yourself before considering postgraduate studies. She touched on the benefits of furthering your studies, the difference between qualifications and admission requirements. Thank you, Prudence, for the contribution. Our third and last speaker, Ngobile Dlamini, spoke about the opportunities to teach English abroad and the process that you need to follow in order to qualify for these opportunities. Thank you, Ngobile, for sharing such a valuable information with our students. Once again, thank you so much to all guest speakers for sharing their knowledge and expertise. Information that you shared will equip our students essential knowledge and skills for their academic and professional journey. To our students, thank you for your enthusiastic participation and for making this event interactive and engaging. We hope the insights gained today will help you shape your career. We look forward to seeing you at future events. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Becky. Again, thank you also from my side. I really appreciate the support from our colleagues as well. And we hope that this is not the last time that we see each other or hear each other. So as I've indicated, please feel free to reach out for further conversations. And then maybe just on a last note, Gabby, I see that there is a taker from Tabiso. She's also doing an honours degree, but she's not on TikTok. So maybe you could also figure out a way to connect to each other. But thank you very much, and we hope you have a very good afternoon and all the best for your studies. Goodbye.